that have started, and it's an unusual pattern. Eclipses happen twice a year, and they happen in pairs. And it's when the new moon or the full moon is with the nodal axis of the moon, which means it's rather a flat line. Okay, and what that means is we're going to have shadows. We're going to have the blocking out. The word eclipse means to close out the light, or to lose the light. It's shut down. In the ancient times, an eclipse was considered to be catastrophic because if you shut down the sun, there was no food, there was no heat, there was no fire, you know, we were in trouble. Life was over. If the moon was eclipsed, we were in crisis because they navigated by the moon, you know? And if you were at sea and you had no moon, you know, and if you didn't know your stars, you might be in real trouble. So the sun and the moon are the two lights in the sky that are so critical. When they are together for a new moon or full moon, we have crisis. When they eclipse, when they have shadow. So, last August 18th, there was a full moon eclipse, and it was at 28 Aquarius. Now, it was a partial eclipse, it wasn't that big a deal. In February 11th, we had a new moon eclipse, 22 Leo. Leo and Aquarius are the opposite signs. Any of you that have been in here, you know there are 12 signs. There are 6 pairs. Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sagittarius, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, and Virgo, Pisces. So the Leo-Aquarius axis is always opposite. So to have one eclipse in Aquarius and one eclipse in Leo is not unusual, okay? Now, the one that we're going to talk about is the one coming up in August. It's at 28 Leo. Then I will tell you the one next February is at 27 Aquarius. We have 4 eclipses within 6 degrees in the parallel signs, okay? Usually there are only 2. So this whole area, and so any of you born in the last 10 days of Leo or the last 10 days of Aquarius, which would be from maybe the 11th to the 21st of August and the 11th to the 20th of February, 10th to the 20th of February. Are there any people in here with their birthdays in that time frame?
He was born on the 15th.
Well, anything between 10 and 19, okay? So it's pretty much on. You are experiencing during this period of 16, a year and a half, almost 2 years, a year and a half of a lot of energy, a lot of shifting, a lot of changing in direction, okay? So the one that's most well known is, so eclipse patterned. Eclipses come in families. It's called a cycle. Not important to you, but it's about 18.73 years. And they repeat at 19 years, 38 years, 57, every 19 years. Meaning an eclipse will come back to the same degrees. If we went back and studied what was happening in 1998, the end of 97, 98, beginning of 99, that would have been the same family of eclipses because they repeat. They're in the same cycle, they're in the same family. The solar eclipse of the summer looks like this. And you have the sun and the moon together at 28 Leo, and the node. This is the north node, or the node of the moon, right there. So that's what a solar eclipse would look like on a chart. The sun and the moon are at the same degree. The north node is there. Okay. So let's talk about new moons. New moons, when the moon and sun come together like this, is a release of new energy. And Mike Allen asked me this morning on the radio, he said, what should people expect from energy on this new moon? Well, a new moon is like a huge bucket of water coming down and running forward. So you have a lot of energy to draw from and to use, but you may get carried into that and pushed into that rush, okay, of new energy. So solar eclipses bring new opportunities, new growth, and you may be forced to do new. You may be forced. So if a solar eclipse is very new. The full moon, and following a new moon is a full moon. You all have calendars, and you know that 2 weeks later, if you had a new moon, you have a full moon. So, but the full moon eclipse is culminating. And so they also, but they're different because they bring everything to a head, they stir things up, they make people emotional, they force you to complete or to look at what's been bubbling under the surface. So it's a completing energy where a new moon is pushing you to do new and open. This eclipse in August that's so well known is called a solar eclipse. It's in the sign of Leo, and it is because it is within, keep wanting to use my mouse pad, within 4 degrees, the node is within 24 to 28, that's 4 degrees, of the eclipse. It means it is total. In some parts of the world, we will have a complete shadow as opposed to a partial shadow. Okay, so you have partial, you have partial shadows, and then you have total. This will be a total shutout at some point in the world. Now, here is what, this was the solar, now, where the sun and moon, it depends on what latitude they're on. Our equator is 0 degrees latitude. We at Cincinnati are 39 degrees north and 84 degrees west, if you're interested. We're 84 degrees west of Greenwich, and we're 39 degrees north, but we're 39 degrees north of the equator, okay? So wherever this eclipse, wherever that sun and moon are by declination or in the sky, depends upon where they're going to be seen. This was February. No, this was February. This was the February eclipse. Now, the whole world experienced the eclipse, right? And we know that the eclipse was at, the eclipse in February was at 22 degrees of Leo. Well, you're like, well, this eclipse is at 28 Leo. Will it be in the same place? Well, it is by longitude. It is not by declination. So, what is making, the reason you're having this little astronomical class is very important. What makes this eclipse in August different than the one we had in February? They're both in Leo Aquarius. They're all eclipses. Why aren't they all the same? Because they're at a different declination and they're going to have a different impact. So, even though we have the same degrees, and you look at it and you're like, here's the eclipse, it's at 28 Leo, the other one was at 22. However, the one in February, this one in February was what they call occulted or completed or visible over the tip of South America, Patagonia, and over in almost to South Africa, right in the very southern hemisphere. Okay, so if you were there, that's where you would have gotten the full impact of no light. So that's where, if you were native, you'd freak out, because that's where it would go dark and you'd think the world was ending and you were dead. Now, up here where we were in February, nobody freaked out. Why? Because we didn't see it, right? It was an eclipse and everybody said, okay, we have an eclipse, all right. Now, where is it? I don't see it, right? And it's no big deal unless you had something in 22 Leo and you got eclipsed and you were pushed into making some decisions that maybe you hadn't planned on making, or you were feeling more about emotional and vulnerable, not knowing that your chart had been slammed by this eclipse energy, or it's time to do new. I need to get on with it, whatever it happens to be. I just got this infusion of battery life. Now I'm supposed to do something. What am I supposed to do? So those of you with the solar eclipse hitting, and you may not have seen it. So you're like, no big deal, right? Wrong. But, so, what's the difference? This eclipse in August happens to be by declination, or where it is by latitude. It's going to occult, complete, be visible right over the United States. There's a teeny little black line here. You can see it. That's where the occultation is exact, right there. Guess what? It's awfully close to a line. The exact point is Hopkinsville, Kentucky, or Nashville.
Where?
Nashville, Tennessee, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. People don't know where Hopkinsville is. It's actually where Edgar Casey was born. If you don't know that, piece of trivia. But if you're an Edgar Casey fan, by the way, up at the booth we're selling, we have the Edgar Casey report, you know, what he said about your life, your past lives. So we have that. There used to be a gentleman here at the show that actually sold the Edgar Casey report. Did anybody ever buy one from him? Delightful couple, and he's passed now. But I never sold. I owned it. I owned the report, but I never sold it because it's how he made his living. So I just put that away and pretended I didn't have it. But he's passed now, so we do have the Casey report. And we can run it if you're interested. We're up across from Victor's booth, but I think it says Midwest School of Astrology. I'm not sure, but I think that's what it says behind me. Been a little busy. So these eclipses, it depends on where you are. So Edgar Casey would have been wigged out, you know, in Hopkinsville. I want you to know that they have sold out of all the hotels within 100 miles of Hopkinsville already. Now, I don't know that I would rush to Nashville and Hopkinsville in August for this eclipse because there's a huge fault there. And eclipses have a tendency to have a strong gravitational pull. So, may or may not. I don't know that we're going to have an earthquake there, but I don't think I would go out of my way to be standing there on the day of the eclipse. So, I'm wondering in Ohio, you know, if we get it. But we certainly don't have one foot on one side of the fault and one foot on the other, and they do in Hopkins. But I know a lot of people that are traveling there. They want to be there for the what? Why are they going to Hopkins? For the total blackout. You know, to see that no sun, and use the glasses and have the paper and the whole deal and watch the eclipse. So this has not occurred since the 1600s. I think it's 1650 or something, right in that time frame, where there was a total solar eclipse and it was occulting over the middle of the United States, over at this high of an altitude. So we get eclipses, we get them all the time, but they're not always smack dab over our country. And this is going to impact our entire, if I'm not mistaken, you start over in Seattle and come right across the country and down through Ohio and right down into Georgia. That pretty much does it, you know. There's that whole path along here, this whole path. So we should see it here. We may not see the total, but I'll bet you we see most of it. So
what time? Are they now?
We do. Great question. The eclipse will be, here it is. The solar, keep my fingers off there. The solar eclipse, August 21st, 2017, 2:30 p.m. Cincinnati time, or Eastern time, 2:30 p.m. It will be about an hour that you'll see it coming in. There's about 36 minutes of what they call real shading from one end, and then 36 minutes, I think, on the other. So it is, do we just go from light to dark? As the moon moves in front of the sun, you know, you get this shadow, and then you get the darkness, and then it starts to pull out. So this is what, here's an eclipse path. So here's your picture. So you have the sun, the moon, and Earth. Now, we know that the sun shines over half the Earth every day, right? And we rotate. So we got half day and half night, or depending upon where you are. I realize we're on a 23-degree tilt, so it's not all black and white. Okay, but what happens on an eclipse is that the sun is shining, and the Earth, because of it's exactly this. I love the universe. I just get so kidding. So here's Earth, here's the moon, and here's the sun, right? The Earth the moon is exactly proportionately 12 times closer than the sun is. The sun is 12 times farther away. And so, because of the exact proportion, when the moon is on the right trajectory, it's on the right altitude, it will block, for us, the vision of the sun. So actually, that little tiny moon ball will appear the same size in the sky as the sun. And so we will have no light. And that's a total eclipse. But it's not everywhere in the world. It will happen here. So that's what an eclipse looks like. So the next question is, what about the next 4 years? So that's the next question that people usually have. So for you as an individual, for you as an individual, what does it mean? Well, if you have something in the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and this is where the eclipse path is, it's going to impact you, okay? It's going to, you're going to feel it, but it's internally, it's an internal reference. Unless you're in those last 10 days that I talked about, and then you feel a much bigger walk or impression to move, change, or do. If you were here last spring, I talked about the election. And I stuck my foot right in it and said that regardless of what you liked, or they hadn't even decided yet, but that Trump had more energy than Trump in the chart. I'm the only astrologer, I think, one of the only ones in the United States that had the guts to come out and say it. But, because all the rest of them joined in a big conference and all, came in on the other side. It wasn't a political statement, it was an objective statement. So, and sure enough, he did. But there was more energy in that area of the chart. What that means, I don't know, but the universe chose it. I didn't. I only read it. I take the names off and just try to read the two charts and say, where is the energy? Get the personality out of it. So with our country, we have to say, this eclipse is happening, and it is happening over the U.S., so obviously we're more impacted than other places. That's good logic, right? It's good sound logic. This is the U.S. chart. This is the birth chart of the United States. We were born as a country in July 4th, right? So the moon rules the sign of Cancer. We are a Cancer country, born on July 4th. If you look at your little cheat sheet, you'll see people, anybody or anything born from June 21st to July 20th has a Cancer energy. If you look at your cheat sheet again, the moon rules Cancer. And so let's look at the U.S. chart, okay? So here we are, the sun's in Cancer at 13 degrees. This is the birth chart for Cancer. July 4th, 1776, we're using 5:10 p.m. in Philadelphia. A lot of reasons for that. Just different charts. This is the one after a lot of research that people are using. Because it's a Cancer sun for our chart, the moon rules Cancer, right? In your little cheat sheet, there's a planet that rules every sign. Real simple. So the moon becomes highly significant. And the moon in this chart is at 27 Aquarius. Now, there's an orb or range for the eclipses of 4 to 5 degrees, particularly on a total eclipse, right? So let's go back here and look at our little notes. Let's see, last August we had an eclipse. Our moon for the United States is 27 Aquarius. And the eclipse was 28 Aquarius last August. Did we have an upset and a major change for our country after August 18th?
Yes.
3 months in, 3 months out, wham, really intense. This is not a day. So the country, our moon, our people, the moon rules people, had, so looking at this, I thought, man, we got a big shakeup coming, okay? It's a full moon eclipse, it's emotional, it's traumatic, but it's a change.
But
Okay,
you
so August,
specifically
February,
said it was about the people.
the moon is about the people. So
If the people come out,
and I had said to you last spring, because of the eclipse in the fall on the moon, if the people come out to vote, it's going to change it. The people that don't normally vote, right? So they did all of these polls based on what's always happened, and they were wrong because the quote, the masses, the ones we weren't expecting, came out, and it changed things. And it was this eclipse on the moon for the United States chart, and the whole. I'm telling you, the people. I'm not saying that we're going to stay in this model, but it was time for people to wake up and get involved and have some kind of a voice. And you know, whether you like what's right now or not, or whether it changes again, and with all these eclipses, believe me, it's all going to change, so nobody has to get too upset. I'm like, you know, don't get all in a twit. These eclipses are slamming. Why? Because remember that we're a Cancer country, the moon rules Cancer. The first one was 28 Leo, then we were 22 Leo. Remember, Leo and Aquarius are opposite, so it's the axis, it's the same line. Whether I'm saying Leo or Aquarius, it's the same radius. You cut a circle in half, you know, it's like you got a broomstick on one end, you got a broomstick on the other, does it matter which end you hit? It's still going to react, you know what I mean? The energy is there. So August 21st, the eclipse is at 28 Leo. Ha! If I'm not mistaken, that's exactly opposite this one, isn't it? So we're looking for another big shift. And it's going to be for the people in the country. All the way through next February, where the solar eclipse is at 27 Aquarius. Let's go back. And what's the moon? 27 Aquarius. And I told you at the beginning of the talk, we usually have like 2 eclipses that are tied together. I mean, it's very common. They're called sister eclipses, and they back up, so they keep moving backward by sign. These 4 are rather unusual for them to clump together and stay in the same 6-degree range for a year and a half. It happens to be on our moon. Our country is in major transition. So everybody that's wigging out and thinking that this is the end, I'm like, oh, take a breath, you know? There is more to come. I don't think it's bad. I think it was time for change. And I've told you that with that, if you've been sitting in here for the last 2 years, the Uranus-Pluto square, I told you that the energy is calling for major dynamic change in our own lives, in our country, but in the world. And it is.
Is Pluto ruling the Earth right now? I read somewhere that it only rules every 30 years and it ruled the Earth last time it ruled the flows and
Oh, that's an opinion. Let me put it that way. That's a specific opinion based on a few degrees. When Pluto gets in a certain degree. Pluto has 250-year cycle, and it's in a sign somewhere between 18 and 21 years. And so it's not on that 30-year. So they're picking up a degree thing, which sounds good, but I don't know how much truth there is to it. Let me say it doesn't have historical stuff. So, the moon in Aquarius. Now, the moon, we are Cancer country. Home, family, land, loyalty, right? We're patriotic, we love our land, we love our home, we love our home country, we're an emotional people. We're a very patriotic country. The moon naturally rules Cancer, and Cancer in this chart, and I know it's more astrology, but you'll just follow me. Cancer rules the 8th house, and the 8th house of the chart, for I have a lot of students in here, the 8th house of the chart rules other people's money, investments, inheritance, and other people's resources. And so these eclipses are going to change our money currency. I don't know what that means. I wish I had a magic wand. I wish I could make it, you know, give you a specific, but I'm telling you that not only are the people changing and our responses, but our currency and our money system is going to change over the next year. We're going, a year and a half, we're going to continue to see. I'm starting to see a lot of it, smidgens of it on the internet. But I just want you to understand that it's part of destiny. It's part of divine timing for the big picture. So you don't wig out, you adapt, you know, you accept the new, and you try to, how can this make it work for me? Okay? So, it's not a matter of, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Let me see what time is it? 2:32. Okay, sorry, I had to see what time. How am I doing? Because I can't tell what it's up here. So, what, over this next 4 years, which, you know, what I put on the brochure, you're like, oh, she's gonna talk about the next 4 years. I'm like, I'm trying to talk about the next few months. What are we gonna expect? Now, could we have a major earthquake in the US? Yes, we could. Because you will find historically that eclipses, that earthquakes follow, earthquakes, tsunamis, whatever, you know, major earth polarity, magnetic shifts happen around these eclipse points, because it has a high magnetic point. How many of you are aware that full moons pack the tides? I mean, if you're watching storms and you watch the Weather Channel, they'll tell you, this storm is going to hit one of the coasts at the full moon time, so we know we're going to have higher tides, so we can expect more intense flooding. I mean, they record that all the time. They report it. It's not like it's a secret or it's questionable. People sometimes say, well, is this stuff real? And I'm like, I don't know, do you call flooding real? I do. But people say, do you believe in astrology? I say, do you believe in gravity? I don't know. I mean, it's cycles and rhythms, and it's occurring. Now, what it means, or how you're going to interpret it, and they'll interpret this eclipse a lot of different ways too, right or wrong. So, what we know between now and September, when this eclipse is hitting the U.S., is that we expect unusual weather patterns. And we certainly are having them. But this eclipse pattern is already setting up over the United States. You know, we are one large continent. We're only one continent, but why as in North America? So it's because we've got so many people, and we got most of the money. So we're more in the news, besides we control a lot of the news. You know what I mean? So it's because of who we are. South America didn't get, you know, whatever storms and things they had there in February, we didn't hear about it. I mean, unless you were really listening or planning a trip, and you might have blitzed to it. So, I expect weather changes over, you know, the next few months. I expect a change of currency.
What do you mean by that?
We may change how we invest our money, where we put it,
Okay.
what our exporting is, how much money we give to other countries.
Okay, but you don't mean like we won't have the dollar bill.
I don't know. 2 years from now, we'll talk about it. I really don't know. Oh yeah, I think we'll have money. I mean, but whether they change what our system is it? I read somewhere they said it might go back to gold, the standard. Who knows? I just know that that's what's coming. Eclipse. Okay, so here's your solar eclipse. Here's where they are now over the next 4 years. Now people ask about business, and Saturn is business. And Saturn is, it's Earth, and it's work. And Saturn takes 29 years in orbit around the sun. That's just a mathematical fact, that's its cycle. So every 29 years, Saturn returns to wherever it was 29 years ago. And for those of you who are 28 to 29, is there anybody in the room right around 28 to 29? We have one. You're going into your Saturn return, if you'll hear people say that. It's a time when maturity and life decisions are important, because Saturn is to be grounded and mature and responsible. So what is my Saturn responsibility? So should I go back to school, buy a house, get married, have kids, get divorced, change jobs? I don't know. You know, but it's like, what do I want this next cycle to look like? And so I start analyzing, what are my options? Where am I?
So each age has like a planet association? Like what you're saying, like 28, 29?
Yeah, the sun goes around every year, the moon goes around every month. Right. Mercury and Venus travel with the sun in about a year. Mars has a 2-year orbit. Jupiter's 12 years. Saturn's 29 years. This is 8th grade science. It's okay. Uranus is 84 years. Neptune's 165 years, and Pluto's 248 years. Those are the cycles of the planets around the sun. We are 1 year. It's not. I am aware that we do go around the sun, but yeah. People said, "Are you aware that we don't? The sun doesn't go around us?" I said, "Yes." But we are studying geocentric astrology based on this Earth and us being the center of the system. So Saturn takes 29 years to go around. We'll come back to what we appear to be the same degree in the zodiac. Saturn is in a sign for about 2.5 years. Saturn being seriousness in work and career and business. And Saturn has been in Sagittarius for the last 2 years, and has just yesterday, along with Mercury, Mercury's going retrograde tomorrow. And we have a full moon on Monday. So this has been a particularly chaotic weekend. I don't know if anybody's noticing the energy, but it's a little wacky. There's a little stop, go, start, spin. It's been fun to try to do a conference in the middle of it. But, you know, he does them every fall and spring, so what can I say? The weekend, you live with it. Because I don't think we should live outside the box or quit living, because there's a transit. Saturn will enter in, it rules Capricorn in early December of 17, starting into early January. Saturn will move out of Sagittarius into the sign of Capricorn for the next 2.5 years. Now Saturn is the natural ruler of Capricorn, so it's very happy there. Or it's strong, put it that way. It's strong.
Question. If Saturn is retrograde in Capricorn, does that...
It isn't. It's retrograde in Sagittarius right now. It'll retrograde in Capricorn.
I mean natally.
Oh, if it's natal, that's it. No, it just means I'm repeating that. I have to learn that lesson. Not the story. It's where you come and have something, then we look at it for more information, for more depth. There's a lesson there. But Saturn will return. Now Saturn just went retrograde. What does retrograde mean? For those of you who don't know, it means apparent backward motion. Planets do not go backward. They are all moving. But when a planet slows down, it starts to bubble out and it loses its place in line. If you were walking with a whole herd of people to an event and you had to go to the bathroom and you veered off to the bathroom and came back in, you would have lost your place in line. You're still moving forward, you know, but you lost your line. So that's what retrograde is, apparent backward motion. So Saturn is currently retrograde in Sagittarius, but in November, December, we'll go into, now why is that important? Because for business, for the stock market, for, it's going to get stronger. But it's going to get very black and white, and they're going to start making decisions, and you know, we're going this way, we're not doing that. And that which has been flexible and vague is going to become very clear.
So if you are a Sagittarius, would you feel this wretchedness in your life? Because
the question is, if you are a Sagittarian, would you feel the retrograde? Yes. You feel like it. What does a retrograde mean? It means to go back and repeat and redo and revisit that which is not done. And it's like go back and do your work. So you may be being pushed, if you're a Sagittarian with Saturn there, to go back and revisit, finish up what you haven't done. Everyone, if your natal chart has Saturn somewhere, and it's like, where is Saturn retrograding? Where is it that I'm supposed to be going back and doing my work? And that's where your own personal chart will tell you that, which is based on your birth date, time, and place of birth. That's your natal chart. So as Saturn goes retrograde, and it is now for, I don't know, a couple of months, but 4, I think. Then, when it starts back up, in the very end of December, it'll hit 0 Capricorn, go up to 9, come back to 2, and go back. So what does that mean? Saturn will be then in its own sign. It's only in its own sign of rulership for 2.5 years out of every 29. It's a powerful time for Saturn. There will be new business decisions, new formats, new structure, but it's strong. It's strong. And so I looked for the world to make some new alignments and new definitions, and we should come back out strong in 18. So I see this as a time of correction, of cleaning up, of imbalance, but that's what it's about. And then when Saturn comes direct, and it moves, and then it moves into Capricorn, and it's strong. It's like, okay, let's make some decisions. Let's get clear. Let's move forward. Let's do this. Whatever that happens. If you are a Capricorn, who's Capricorn in the room? You will start to feel the push to get grounded and get the work done. And so if you're pondering it, it's like by the end of the year, I need to put my boots on the ground, so to speak, and be ready to walk. And that's Saturn in Capricorn. And it's a 2.5-year cycle. Now, Jupiter's in Libra this year, and it's being social, and it's fine. Jupiter is abundance and blessings, and it's fine. When we get to 2019, Uranus will be changing out of Aries, which has been in for 7 years, and Uranus will go into Taurus. Uranus is change, electricity, breaking loose, upheaval, and it rules earthquakes and all kinds of little bitty things. But Uranus is the planet of change, and in 19 it will change. Now, we'll close with a discussion on good old Pluto, which is, Pluto has a 248-year cycle. It's in a sign 18 to 21 years. It has 2 degrees a year, 2.5. In 2020, it's going to shift. It's at 19 to 20 this year. It's like at the end of 20. And the United States is having a Pluto return. The United States will be 240 some years old. And it starts into 2019-20. The United States starts into a Pluto return, which means Pluto will come back to its natal position. We are finished. What does that mean? People that don't study, all this. It means that we are wrapping up a period of time of a very old history, and we're getting ready to shift in the early 2020s into a new model for our country, for how we're going to do things. Where is Pluto in the United States chart? Here's the U.S. So where is the little planet Pluto? It's in the second house, and guess what it's in? Second house of money and our resources. So our currency is going to change over the next 4 to 5 years. Pure and simple. I don't know what that means, but we're going to change who we give money to. Huh?
I hope it means we don't care so much about it.
That would be nice. Who we give it to, how much outsourcing we do, how much foreign aid we do, I don't know. Maybe our standards, maybe how we manage our banks. I really don't know, but what I do know is that the universe is calling for a change in time for us to do all that. So we're starting to see this on more than one front. So we go back to the eclipse of August.
It spreads out.
And you're like, okay, so we're moving into this pattern with the time, these eclipses. So where are we? We're smack dab in the middle of this 4, aren't we? So we have to say we're in the middle of transition here. We're in the middle. So it feels, and I can't tell you how many people say to me, this feels chaotic. This feels out of control. This feels really hard. And I'm like, here's the close path. So this is in August, but what you've got, sorry, I'm trying to do this stupid mouth that doesn't work. Jupiter and Uranus are in opposition during this period of time, and Uranus rules electricity and change, and it's all squaring Pluto. We are in this transformative, the whole planet is in this transformative change. And so all that is old or needs to be broken loose will. If it's not grounded, it's not tethered, and it's not solid, it's going to shake loose. So if things are shaking loose in your life, you have to stand back and say, our earth, our energy is very tumultuous. We have 4 bodies: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And so It may not be on your physical level, the ground may not shake underneath you. It may be an emotional trauma, or maybe it's mental, and everybody changes their thinking on a subject and moves in a new direction. Or we can only hope and pray that it's on a spiritual level.
Amen.
And that we, thank you, and we are ready to expand and open up. And there are some wonderful books out there now that say we are coming into this wonderful new age and that love is going to prevail. So let's all pray and let's all meditate on higher consciousness, more love, you know, more integration, shall we?